Until now, huge glaciers had blocked the progress of human beings into the New World. Now the way was clear, if not easy. By now, the human family consisted of only one species, us. We had come out of Africa and had spread as far as the continent we now know as North America. Animals have played a vital part in our prehistory. We depended on their flesh for food. We wore their skins and hides, and now we even partner with them to share our burdens and our hunts. Wolves have already been domesticated. At this time, sea levels were 250 feet lower than they are today, and it was across this desolate country that the first people walked into what is now Alaska. The glaciers that had guarded the land for millennia were losing their power. Since the age of the dinosaurs, this land has been the dominion of the beasts. The creatures that live here have never set eyes upon a human being until now. The larger animals made the journey backwards and forwards between the continents long before humans had the means to do so. These people have seen mammoths before, but maybe not in such huge herds. And these animals are naive. Full-grown mammoths fear no other creature. These giants cannot perceive the threat gathering above them. At this time, America is home to large animals, megafauna of all kinds. Some are familiar to the people, many are not. North America is a huge continent, more than 1/6 of the Earth's land area. It resembled what we might think of as an immense game park filled with beautiful and exotic species. These days, we might think of animals as wild or tame, but before the coming of humans, these words have no meaning. Species evolved side by side, predator and prey in balance, if not in harmony. When they first encountered humans, these beasts simply did not know what to make of them. Although later lost to the continent, the horse evolved here with many different kinds and colors. Camels were native to these snowy plains, along with the buffalo and the mammoth. Predators were out in force. Where there is big game, there are big cats. The beasts would discover to their cost that we would be counted among the predators. We had become formidable hunters. Where there was big game to be found, so too were human beings. Forests provide the fuel for fires to comfort and warm them. The animals that surround the people give tools, shelter, food. There is time for storytelling, conversation, gossip, jokes. So far, there has been nothing to cause us fear, nothing to resist us. Left outside, the dogs keep watch. They too are faced with alien beings whose sounds and scents are unfamiliar to them. What is unknown is frightening. A slasher is on the loose. This is the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon fatalis. Its scientific name means deadly knife tooth. With massive 7-inch long canines, the saber-tooth's fangs are as big as Tyrannosaurus rex teeth. The saber-toothed cat kills by disemboweling. And if it gets a chance, it will literally slash the dogs to pieces. 3 feet at the shoulder, this is one of the biggest cats that has ever lived. The saber-tooth is an ambush predator, silent and stealthy. If it weren't for the dogs, the humans might never know it was there. Tonight, the beast has turned tail, but the people know that winning this round doesn't mean they have won the battle. Their experience and their imagination tell them that there may be more terrifying creatures to come. Humans became established in North America 13,000 years ago. In the centuries that followed, our population spread as far as the southern tip of South America, 10,000 miles away. Right now, they've not yet penetrated beyond the modern state of Montana, and at the present moment, their concerns are much more immediate. They aren't worried about where they're going, they're worried about staying alive. They must learn all there is to know about the creatures that they find in this new world. They are fighting a battle that they must win. They do not wish to live their lives under siege from monsters. Although the predator is not in sight, the hunters recognize this butchered carcass as the work of a saber-toothed cat. Slashed flesh and arteries severed with almost surgical precision are trademarks of the saber-tooth. Nothing else can dismember a carcass so effectively. Pound for pound, the saber-toothed cat is one of the most deadly predators on Earth. It can punch well above its weight, already heavy for a cat, bringing down animals many times its own size. Its sharp fangs unzip the stomachs of giant herbivores and slash open their throats. Even mammoths must fear them. They are mortal enemies. Big predators evolve alongside big prey. The megafauna, big beasts to you and me, are so called because they weigh in at over 2,000 pounds. That's more than a ton of muscle, blood, and bone. And it's moving. This cat can take down a mega herbivore like a bison seemingly without effort. It is an impressive feat. Humans are not always enemies of wild animals. We brought the wolf into our lives, and by selective breeding made ourselves a loyal companion and an efficient alarm system. Animals also provide inspiration for hunting strategies. Observing the camouflage of wild creatures, we imitate the appearance of our prey. We stalk our quarry in bold view by taking on their very aspect. There's something unusual about these caribou, but the herd doesn't notice. The caribou are familiar game. On their long trek from Eurasia, the people followed the migratory paths of these animals. Not only did this save humans from wandering blindly, the herds were also mobile camp supply units, providing food, clothing, and shelter for the long journey. Silent communication between the hunters is essential, and before they embarked on the hunt, they rehearsed their plan many times. They have already enacted this hunt in their minds. The skill of human hunters at this time is at its peak. People can read the quarry accurately, can educate their children in the ways of animals and the methods of the hunt. Humans share this land with many other consummate predators. The battle for supremacy is underway. The grizzly bear is a formidable opponent. It has ferocious weaponry, hunts with stunning patience, intelligence, and some precision. It has a short temper and plenty of stomach for a fight. There is one beast, though, that can send this bear running for cover. The short-faced bear. This bear is a giant, much taller than any grizzly. Taller than a basketball hoop, it can seek out prey from miles away. The short-faced bear can gallop at a demonic rate. It is nearly impossible to surprise it. Short-faced bear sounds cute, but its nickname describes powerful, heavy jaw muscles and a bone-crunching bite. If ever human beings came face to face with a monster, it was the short-faced bear. Bears love fish, and so do humans. The Pacific Salmon Run is an unbelievable bounty for bears and humans alike. In this country of surprises, there seems to be a mega beast around each corner. This huge creature is a ground sloth. The ground sloths live all over this continent. The animal's size allows it to reach high branches and tender leaves. The huge claws are for nothing more sinister than holding on to branches while feeding. As for the branches that the sloths couldn't reach, their powerful arms could break down whole trees. Sloths could also wield their claws in self-defense, but they were very slow, and the narrow skull suggests a rather small brain. It is an evolutionary strategy for an animal to reduce its brain size to save energy, and maybe that's what happened to the sloth. Humans, of course, went the other way and used their brains to devise ever more ingenious ways of feeding themselves and improving their lifestyle, something that hasn't changed since we first emerged from our African birthplace. In spite of its size, the humans soon decide that it is a gentle giant. Maybe slow and stupid. In this case, they may be right, but even so, they should be wary. The lands of the north are also patrolled by a giant. The people will soon meet the short-faced bear. "13,000 years ago, this is the weather in Montana. Although it doesn't look like it, the climate is warming up. A wind of change is in the air, a wind that will blow over people and animals alike. All animals are dependent upon the climate for their survival. Though the ice is in retreat, the going is still tough. The winters are very harsh. Snowfalls were lighter at this time, the land drier, but the weather still claims its toll, and some animals will not survive this winter. And now these animals face a threat as chilling as the frozen climate. Humans have made a deadly advance in technology, and it is to hasten the end of these animals, the super herbivores. Up until the time we arrived, America had several types of elephant: the woolly mammoth, the Columbian mammoth, the pygmy mammoth, the American mastodon. In just a few hundred years, they were all gone. The sharp blade with finely honed cutting edges transformed the hunting and butchering of huge animals like mammoths. The spear points often shattered after they pierced the skin, maximizing damage. It was a battle that the hunters won, time after time. At such moments, they felt invincible. But they could never be off guard. A mammoth kill is an invitation to a meal, And one of the guests here is the most overwhelming creature that walks the earth. The short-faced bear is coming to dinner. A moment's inattention, and one man is separated from the hunting band. This situation becomes more serious by the moment. It is in the nature of a predator to seize a good opportunity and vulnerable prey. To a population still in its infancy, any loss is serious. But the people learn from their mistakes and forge ahead. They proceed to establish themselves as the rulers of this continent. The short-faced bear is not defeated in combat. The human arsenal includes another weapon, the slow waste of hunger. The people competed for its prey, and they won. Now there is just one more challenge awaiting humankind, one more land to conquer, the land of the giant birds. All over the world, there are tales told of giant birds, big enough to catch a man in their huge talons and carry him off to their mountain strongholds. There was a time when the legends were real. While Europe was struggling into the Middle Ages, the people of the Pacific Islands were discovering a landmass that had only one single small terrestrial mammal and had hundreds of species of birds. These were islands out of time. 3,000 years ago, people struck out to explore the Pacific. Their quest took them from island to island, each generation traveling just a little farther until at last people reached the remote islands of New Zealand. Now humans had spread over all the lands of the Earth, and the last habitable landmass on the planet had been claimed. Their sailing vessels show all the sophistication of developed technologies. They have woven sails and plated ropes. Their craft have seaworthy hulls to take them safely across the open water of the wild Pacific Ocean. These people are skilled mariners. The people of the Pacific Islands have not just found a new place to colonize. What they don't yet realize is that they've stumbled upon an altogether different world. They claim it for their own. Humans have now mastered agriculture, and these people will attempt to raise their favorite crops here. But hunting is still very much a part of their livelihood, so they look for what game the land offers. This is a wild and beautiful land, but it's so remote that the only other creatures to come here came the same way the people did, riding the wind and the ocean's currents. Dolphins play in New Zealand's bays, and whales feed over the deep ocean drop-offs. New Zealand is a very different land from Australia. It is farther south and much cooler. It is also a much more fertile land. And although only 1/30th of Australia's size,
The forest air is thick with the rustling of small creatures and the songs of myriad birds.
The birds, the direct descendants of the dinosaurs, have inherited an earthly paradise, almost free of predators. The nocturnal kiwi can feel safe on the ground. Kiwis eat worms and insects. They have taken the slot that the shrews occupy in the continents where mammals dominate. Even its vulnerable eggs and young are secure in underground nests. There are no burrowing mammals or snakes here to disturb them. An earthy paradise, indeed.
The kiwi lays huge eggs, a quarter of the female's total weight. It's as if we were to give birth to 35-pound babies.
Bats are the only mammals to inhabit the interior of New Zealand. Recent genetic research shows that they were probably blown here 30 million years ago, all the way from South America. And finding a feast on the forest floor, they stayed. Between them, the bats, the flightless birds, and the insects occupy all the niches that mammals do elsewhere.
From kangaroos to shrews, tigers to possums, the huge variety of ways that animals can make a living is represented here in the Twin Islands of New Zealand.
Soon, the people begin to explore deeper into the forests. Passage through the dense woodlands is difficult, but their curiosity drives them on.
With no predators to fear on the ground, some birds, like this kakapo here, have lost their major characteristic. These birds cannot fly. Flight requires a huge amount of energy, and since these birds don't need to escape from enemies, the kiwi, the kakapo, and penguins have all grown too big to fly.
So far, there seems little reason for caution, but there is a surprise here. The largest bird they had ever seen. The tallest bird the world has ever seen. This is the giant moa.
Its scientific name means surprising or terrifying bird. The moas were unique, the only birds in the world that had become entirely wingless. There were 11 species of moa. This one weighs almost as much as 2 fully grown men. In the newcomer's language, moa means chicken. People's minds must have turned quickly to food. The moas were all forest-living herbivores, browsing on trees and shrubs. These islanders cannot tell at first what sort of birds they were. Nothing they've seen before would have prepared them for this giant. Those huge legs could deliver a laceration, and the beak looks like it could cause grave damage. But the moa doesn't appear to be aggressive. The people don't know whether this is friend or foul. The moa must have been one of the most surprising giant animals we ever met. In time, small villages are established, and life for the first New Zealanders takes shape. But the people live under a threat from above. There is another giant bird that lives on New Zealand, but this one does not live on the ground. This is the largest bird of prey ever. The eagle's wingspan gives it the power of attack that can snap a human neck. The female weighs twice as much as a bowling ball, and she's twice as heavy as the male. She strikes her prey with the force of a concrete block dropped from an 8-story building. She has talons the size of tiger claws.
The giant eagle is used to hunting for large animals on 2 legs that are vulnerable to attack. It specializes in hunting moas. Crossing rivers and clearings puts the birds and the humans at risk. For many thousands of years, its regular prey has been the giant flightless birds. But now, the eagle's eye has been caught by something different. It is big enough. It is walking upright on 2 legs. It is food.
Just 8 centuries ago, 300 years before Columbus reached America, Pacific Islanders landed on the far shores of New Zealand and found islands ruled by giant birds, direct descendants of the dinosaurs. It was as if they had traveled back to the Jurassic Age.
They made a living, but not without loss. One of their community has been taken by a giant eagle, and now the people grieve.
Takau matatau mataraha. Takawa kitarani e. Piki te koe tō matua I tarani. Tō hatu ai. Tikakupuna kare hue tarani e.
They represent the predator with a soaring kite. Though they fear the great eagle, they are also in awe of the powerful bird, and so they honor it. People have always been fascinated by monsters. Gradually, the forests become a more familiar place. The people learn to pick their way through the forest and find what food is available to them. Growing crops proves difficult, and gathering food from the land is the only option.
Neka mai.
Most of the giant birds lay only 1 or 2 precious eggs a year. They lay on the open ground. The egg is too big, the shell too thick for the small reptiles and bats that scavenge on the forest floor. The bird can leave the egg in perfect safety. Until now.
This was the beginning of the end for these fantastic birds. The moas were caught in an evolutionary perfect storm. They were confronted with a predator from whom they could not escape. They could not outbreed us, they could not outlast us. All the moa could do was wait for the end. We shall never see this sight. It is a world that is lost to us. For the newcomers, the moa was literally a lifesaver. These birds are completely unequipped to combat any predators, let alone a hunter with many weapons and many strategies. The moa are easy targets, much too easy.
In just a few decades, the precious food source was becoming scarce, and desperate measures were used to drive the last moas out of their forest retreats. Whirlwinds of fire snaked through the bush, turning a refuge into an inferno. Humans have used fire to bring down big game before, but this time, the fire we unleash might consume us as well. The ancient giants are gone. They could not stand against the human advance. The struggle has come to an end, and we have won. And a land of lost monsters is now our legacy. And so it is that the mammoth is not a part of our world, or the saber-toothed cat, or the giant American lion. These monsters are now only ghosts. Are we at all haunted by their loss? We now stand on the threshold of once again exploring new worlds. And it is likely that one day we might encounter new life forms. What lessons have we learned from the journey we've already made? If no other creatures can withstand us, are we not monsters ourselves? Can we find a way to coexist with what we fear and not subjugate what we can overpower? Can we live with other species? Will we leave behind our monster within?